Xbox has a ton of games in the making. Some we know a lot about, others are still a mystery, and one of those is Avowed. So far we knew that this is a high fantasy RPG from Obsidian. Basically, Avowed is Skyrim meets Outer Worlds. But yesterday, Jez Corden from Windows Central released an insider article talking about a ton of news regarding the game. So today's video is all about Avowed. Hello gamers from around the world, this is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, with a video focused on Avowed. But before we discuss everything we know about the game, you should treat yourself and set your player to full 4K 60 FPS to get the best audio-visual experience I can deliver to you. And while you're at it, please also consider to hit the like and subscribe button and maybe even turn on the notification bell to not miss out on future content. Okay, thank you guys for the support, you are awesome, and now let's get into Avowed. Of course, we will discuss all the news coming from Jez article, but we will also look at some concept art tweeted out by the studio's senior environment artist Jason Lewis and everything we already knew about the game. So let's start with what we already knew, because that isn't too much. We know that the game is set in the same world than the Pillars of Eternity games, called Eora. Don't worry, Obsidian already said that it isn't necessary to have played the Pillars of Eternity games to understand what is going on in Avowed, but obviously there will be references for fans. Okay, and from the reveal trailer in 2020, well, it's still unclear if it's an actual in-engine or CGI trailer, we have learned that this is a dark and war-riddled world, and at the very end they teased at least a little bit of gameplay where the guy pulls out his sword and does a magic trick with his hand, and that revealed us, okay, this game is actually going to be kinda like Skyrim. And here we bring in the article from Jez Corden, where he basically confirms that there are similarities. Obviously he didn't give away his source, but apparently he has seen a certain pre-alpha build and a couple of documents, so these infos are pretty legit because he usually doesn't blabber out any rumors he hears. He makes sure that his sources can be trusted. So here's what he had to say about the combat system in Avowed. We were told Avowed will feature multiple class playstyles and borrows from Skyrim's two-handed combat system. You could wield two daggers and be a stealthy rogue, or dive into archery with a two-handed bow. You could use a combination of swords and magic, or go full two-handed magic, which is required to wield some of the game's more potent spells and abilities. Now, he goes on a little bit and talks about all kinds of things like enchantments for weapons and different ice and fire spells that you can use in the game, and even some guns like they are in the Pillars of Eternity games like muskets will appear in the game. Basically the same left-right hand mechanics that is applied in Skyrim is also to be found in Avowed, and that's great to hear because we haven't seen that mechanic in a lot of games. It was a fantastic mechanic in Skyrim, but apparently the game also improves upon that mechanic by adding different kinds of attacks to the combat system, where you can dash, kick and have different kinds of attack forms. I would assume that's kind of like heavy strikes or lighter strikes, etc. Well, it's great to hear that they take that classic Skyrim formula and try to improve upon it. And I know you might say, well Boxenberger, you are biased, and that might be true because I'm a big fan of Skyrim and a big fan of Outer Worlds, and apparently the game is kinda a wedding of the two. Avowed seems to be a far more colorful game, reminding me far more of the Outer Worlds. Luminescent cave mushrooms, verdant forests awash with gigantic flora and hulking sunlit temples complete with skeleton-infested depths, and tombs are plentiful. It came as a bit of a surprise given the game's original trailer, which seemed like it was trying to strike a much darker tone, save for the neon spell effects. Now obviously the build is a very early build and a lot of things can change. It was also mentioned that some of the lighting and things like that were not fully implemented yet, and of course those kind of things can change the tone of a game dramatically, and with that the feeling of a game. But a few months ago Jason Lewis, who is a senior environment artist at Obsidian, tweeted out a bunch of concept arts, and when we look at those we can really tell that this is kind of a more colorful world than the one we had in Skyrim. Obviously these concept arts might not fully represent the final look of the game, but if we think about those concept arts in combination with the original trailer that we have seen in 2020, we kinda can assume what the world will actually look like and where the art direction with this game is headed. And we also learned that Avowed has apparently a bit more of an interactive world than we were used to in the Pillars of Eternity games or in Skyrim, and I quote now, "It does seem to take environmental interactivity a bit further than Outer Worlds 2, complete with swimming capabilities. We've even heard of destructible environments, using lit torches and fire spells to burn down blocked entryways too. Fire spells leave areas coated in flames too, which cascade against walls and floors." Well, now this is really awesome to hear that they actually try to have these kind of interactive environments, because I've said it a lot when we talked about the capabilities of the next-gen consoles and what the hardware can do, that I do hope that we will see not just better graphics, but also more interactions with environments, more physics simulations, etc, etc. And we know that the Outer Worlds ran in the Unreal Engine 4. We also know that Avowed is going to be an Unreal Engine game, and given the state of the game, we can assume that it will be the Unreal Engine 5 that they are using for the game. This is really awesome if we think about it, that they try to realize this kind of interactions with the environment in that new engine, but that's just an assumption from my side. In the article from Windows Central, we also learned that the game is in a pre-alpha state. Here's what they had to say about the state of the game. Moving through pre-production towards a playable alpha state. Indeed, Obsidian is likely close to having a working early version of the game with many mechanics and core gameplay pillars already implemented. Now, this is really great to hear that the game is already in a playable state and that a lot of things are coming together. I mean, we know that Avowed has been in development in 2018 when Microsoft acquired the developer Obsidian, probably in a very early stage. The game was apparently the reason why Microsoft bought them, and now 3 years later the game is already in a playable state, which is great to hear. But with that, I already want to wrap it up. Obsidian had definitely a lot more funding over the course of the last 3 years than they had previously, and they had access to more technology to develop Avowed. And given that they are one of the best RPG developers out there with an amazing track record of fantastic games, the last being of course The Outer Worlds, one of my favorite games of 2019, I think we can really look forward to Avowed. I've said before this article from Windows Central came out that Avowed is one of my most anticipated Xbox games. I'm a huge Skyrim fan, and knowing that a fantastic developer like Obsidian tries to develop a high fantasy action RPG with similar mechanics than Skyrim, I am all in. And with these latest infos, I think everyone should keep an eye out for Avowed. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button as well as the notification bell. And if you want to support the channel even further, you can become a channel member and get early access to my videos and custom-made badges and emojis. And let me thank everyone who supports this channel in any kind of way. You guys rock big time and make this channel to what it is. And now let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about Avowed? Are you excited for the game? And besides here on YouTube, you can also hit me up on Twitter, where I share a lot of opinions and gaming discussions. But for now, thank you very much for watching, I see you the next time, and game on!